Alright, here we go with ThinkCentral homework lesson 5.8. We're going to be learning how to divide by decimals. So let's remember that if you divide by a very small number, you're going to end up with much more parts. If it costs 0.312 cents to make a cat's eye marble, and here's a model of the money it costs. If you divide that by 10 cents, by 0.1 or 1/10 or 10 hundredths, does it cost, how many dimes does it cost to make one cat's eye? So there's two ways to do this. One is just to do a decimal shift. If you have 0.312 and you're dividing, instead of by 1, you're dividing by 0.1, it is a decimal shift. So you're dividing by a number smaller than 1, so this number is going to be, you're going to end up with a greater product. So I believe you're just going to do a single shift to the right. It should cost 3.12 dimes to make a cat's eye marble. The other way we can do it is to set it up like this, and we multiply this by 100 to get 10, and we multiply this by 100 to get 31.2. Put the decimal point up. So how many times will 10 go into 0? No times. 10 go into 3? No times. 10 go into 31? 3 times. 3 times 10 is 30. 1, bring down the 2. 10 goes into 12 one time. There are 2 left over. Annex is 0. Bring it down. And that is your quotient, 3.12. So the easiest way to do it is just a decimal shift. Because you're dividing by a number smaller than 1, your quotient gets bigger, so it's a single decimal point shift to the right or a single digit shift to the left. Alright, this time it's cat's eye marble. It's going to cost 0.213 cents, or a little bit over 21 cents. And this time you're going to find out how many pennies it costs to make a cat's eye. So we're going to be dividing 0.213 by 100th. And because you're dividing by 100th, you move this over twice. It's a double shift. So the answer should be 21.3. And now let's do the long division to show that is true. So I set up my problem here. I'm going to multiply the divisor by 100 and multiply the dividend by 100 to get an equivalent problem, but without dividing by a decimal. And this is pretty simple because this is just 1, and 1 will go into 21.3 times. So the answer is, the quotient is 21.3. It's going to cost 21.3 cents to make a cat's eye marble, which makes sense because that is 21.3 cents. Same problem here, except this time we're dividing by 1,000th, so the number is going to get 1,000 times bigger. The answer should be 312, and if we do the long division, 0.001 fitting into 0.312 in order to find an equivalent division problem, move that over 3 times. What you do the outside, you do the inside. Move that over 3 times, and 1 will go into 312 times. So the answer is 312. So they're asking us, why does 6 hundredths divided by 2 tenths have the same answer as 6 tenths divided by 2? Well, let's just look at equivalent fractions. So here you have 0.06 divided by 0.2, and that's the same as 0.6 divided by 2. And you can tell it's the same because this one is just times 10 and times 10. So you end up with an equivalent problem. 6 tenths divided by 2 is the same as 6 hundredths divided by 2 tenths. They are equivalent, so I believe that answer is equivalent, so they must be equivalent in terms of their answer as well. What you do to the top, you do to the bottom. That's an equivalent fraction, and that's how you got them. So they're just using different place values but finding the same equivalent division problem. They're asking us how we would do this with long divisions. Pretty simple. I'm going to multiply this number here and this number here both by 100. So that's a double shift for both. Double shift for both, and that's going to end up with an equivalent division problem of 2 into 4. So the answer is going to be, the new problem is going to be 2 divided by 4, and the answer should be 2. Alright, move it over, move it over, move it up. So I move this over, times 10 for the divisor, times 10 for the dividend, move it up. So this new equivalent problem becomes 4 into 36, which is simply 9. So the answer is 9. So setting up the problem, if there's 13.6 tons and each truck carries 8/10 of a ton, how many trucks will you need? Well, the total, your dividend is 13.6, and your divisor is going to be 0.8. So let's set that up here, 0.8 divided into 13.6. I'm going to multiply this by 10 and this by 10 to get an equivalent division problem. Now the new problem just becomes 8 into 136, and that's going to be 17. So you're going to need 17 trucks to haul this dirt if each truck carries 8/10 of a ton. Alright, that's that. In terms of dividing by a decimal, remember the strategy is to create an equivalent problem by moving the decimal point the same amount in the divisor as the dividend, and then just dividing normally using whole numbers. Make sure you ask for help, because it does take a bit of practice. Alright, good luck.